started with the chapter Indigo. I've given you an introduction of the chapter. Now let's start with the text reading of the chapter. In the introduction, I've told you this is a chapter based on the interview which Louis Fisher took of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was gaining popularity in the pre-independent period. And this is a story. This is a small extract or an incident which Mahatma Gandhi shared with Louis Fisher, how he was followed by a peasant known as Rajkumar Shukla, which made him intervene into the problem faced by the peasants in Champaran. How, what struggles he did, how he overcame that issue, and in what manner he tried to seek justice for the poor peasants, right? So the story revolves around the struggle of Gandhiji and other prominent leaders in order to safeguard sharecroppers from the atrocities of landlords. Sharecropper word is used here, which means the land was shared between the peasants and the owners. So here Britishers were the owners and the poor peasants, they were working upon their lands. Because they were illiterate, they were befooled by the British authorities, they had heavy taxes were levied upon them, they had to pay a very high interest in case they were not able to pay the rents. This is a story where the sharecroppers, they had to grow indigo. Indigo is a plant. So they had to grow indigo on 1/4 of their land. And that plantation, indigo plantation was given to the, sorry, that indigo plantation was given to the Britishers as a rent of the land, right? So after some time, Britishers, they started getting cheap indigo from Germany, because of which they stopped. That indigo was much better in quality, so they denied to take indigo plantation from the Indians, and then because of that, they were asked to pay the rent. So they were heavily already suppressed by the debts. They were in debts already, so they were not able to survive. Because of which the peasants, they raised their voice, but because they were very poor, so every time they were suppressed and nobody heard their wails, right? So this is a story, this is an extract where Gandhiji intervened in the troubles faced by the poor peasants and how he overcame it. Shali, let's continue.
Indigo introduction. The story is based on the interview.
Better wait, that I've already read, that I've already explained. Please continue further. We are not going to read out the summary. Straight away, we are coming to the text reading. Okay. Harshita, please start.
When I first visited Gandhi in 1942 at his ashram in Sevagram in central India, he said, I will tell you how it happened that I decided to urge the departure of the British. It was in 1917. He had gone to the December 1916 annual convention of Indian National Congress Party in Lucknow. There were 2,301 delegates and many visitors. During the proceedings, Gandhi recounted, a peasant came up to me looking like any other peasant in India, poor and emaciated, and said, I am Rajkumar Shukla, I am from Champaran, and I want you to come to my district. Gandhi had never heard of that place. It was in foothills of the towering Himalayas near the kingdom of Nepal.
Okay. Now, when I first visited Gandhi, here the writer Louis Fisher is talking about, he said, when I first visited Gandhi in 1942 at his ashram in Sevagram. We all know that Gandhiji's ashram was in Sevagram, right? In central India. He said, I will tell you how it happened that I decided to urge the departure of the British. It was in 1917. So here the author explains about his first meeting with Mahatma Gandhi, right? Mahatma Gandhi was located in central India. He had gone to the December 1916 convention of the Indian National Congress Party in Lucknow, and many delegates were there as visitors. During the proceedings, Gandhi recounted, Gandhiji was telling Mr. Fisher that a peasant by the small farmer by the name of Rajkumar Shukla, he approached Gandhiji. He was poor and thin, and he requested Gandhiji to visit Champaran, a place in the foothills of the Himalaya mountain range near the kingdom of Nepal. Now, under an ancient arrangement, the Champaran peasants were sharecroppers. Now, Champaran peasants, they were sharecroppers. Rajkumar Shukla was one of them. He had come to the Congress session to complain about the injustice of the landlord system in Bihar, and somebody had probably said, speak to Gandhi. So somebody had actually directed Rajkumar Shukla that he should go to Gandhiji, and Gandhiji would, help him to come out of his troubles, help the poor peasants to fight back for their injustice against the injustice which was being done to them by the Britishers. Right? Please continue.
Gandhi told Shukla he had an appointment in Kanpur and was also committed to go to other parts of India. Shukla accompanied him everywhere. Then Gandhi returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad. Shukla followed him to the ashram. For weeks, he never left Gandhi's side. Fix a date, he begged. Impressed by the sharecroppers' tenacity and story, Gandhi said, I have to be in
Wait,
Calcutta.
Harshita, beta, आप एक stanza पूरा miss कर गए हो.
Ma'am,
He told Gandhi that he was a sharecropper. You have to start from this one.
ma'am, but you have already read that paragraph.
No, I have not. There they talk about the agreement, so you have to please read it. He told Gandhi that he was a sharecropper.
Ma'am, but it's not in the book.
Okay, continue further. No problem if you're reading it from the book. It's okay, continue.
Yes.
Just give me just a second. Let me give the explanation of this stanza. Gandhiji, Rajkumar Shukla told Gandhiji that he wasn't sharecropper. He was a sharecropper. Sharecropper, that explanation is given here, is a farmer who gives a part of the crop as a rent to the owner of that piece of land that he cultivates. Just like I told you that when indigo, they were the Indian farmers, Indian peasants, they were asked to grow indigo, the plant indigo on the land which belonged to the Britishers. So they had to give that indigo plantation as rent to the Britishers, right? So that is sharecropping. He told him that because of an old agreement, many of the peasants in Champaran were sharecroppers. He had come to meet Gandhi on someone's suggestion as he was determined to find a solution for the sharecroppers who were facing hardships due to this agreement. Due to this agreement, there were a lot of trouble which was faced by the poor sharecroppers. Please continue.
Gandhi told Shukla he had an appointment in Kanpur and was also committed to go to other parts of India. Shukla accompanied him everywhere. Then Gandhi returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad. Shukla followed him to the ashram. For weeks, he never left Gandhi's side. Fix a date, he begged. Impressed by the sharecroppers' tenacity and story, Gandhi said, I have to be in Calcutta on such a date. Come and meet me and take me from there. Months passed. Shukla was sitting on his haunches at the appointed spot in Calcutta when Gandhi arrived. He waited till Gandhi was free. Then the two of them boarded a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. There, Shukla
wait. Harshita, please wait. Now, Gandhiji told Shukla that he had an appointment in Kanpur and he was also committed to go to other parts of India. But Shukla was very sure that he wanted Gandhiji to intervene in the matter and he believed that he was the only man who could solve their problem. So he followed Gandhiji everywhere. Gandhiji returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad. Shukla followed him to the ashram also. For weeks, he never left Gandhiji's side. Fix a date, he begged. So he was again and again requesting him to come to Champaran along with him and to intervene in the matter to solve the issue which was faced by the poor sharecroppers. After hearing his problem, Gandhiji told him that he had to visit Kanpur and some other parts of India due to his prior appointments. Shukla went with him everywhere, and after this, he was so much determined. He followed Gandhiji so rigidly that ultimately Gandhiji had to give his consent and told him that he would be coming along with him. So Shukla was always there with him for several weeks, begging for him, and then finally months passed and Shukla was sitting on his haunches at the appointed spot in Calcutta. When Gandhiji arrived, he waited till Gandhiji was free. Then the two of them boarded a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. Right? There Shukla led him to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad. So Shukla took him to the house of a lawyer, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. I hope everybody knows who was Dr. Rajendra Prasad, right? Who later became the president of the Congress Party and of India. He was the first president of independent India, Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Now, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was out of town, but the servants knew Shukla as a poor yeoman who pestered their master to help the indigo sharecroppers. So they let him stay on the ground with his companion Gandhi, whom they took to be another peasant. But Gandhi was not permitted to draw water from the well, lest some drops from his bucket pollute the entire source. How did they know that he was not an untouchable? Now, this particular incident again actually highlights the vices in a society at that time, right? Gandhiji agreed to go with Rajkumar Shukla and they boarded a train to Patna. On their way, they stopped at the house of Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who was a lawyer. Actually, before reaching Champaran, Gandhiji wanted कि वो पूरी उसकी incident की detail लें. As a lawyer, he wanted to talk to Dr. Rajendra Prasad. But when he went there to his house, he was not at home. So he had to wait. Gandhiji was accompanied by Rajkumar Shukla, who was a peasant. So his appearance and everything, it was clear to the servants that he was a peasant. Along with him, they assumed that Gandhiji was also another peasant, right? So they were not allowed to enter in the house. Both of them were made to sit outside the house on the floor. Fine. Then Gandhiji was thirsty. He wanted to have water, but he was not allowed to draw water from the well because the servants were not clear that whether he is a normal person or is he an untouchable. So we find this as the vices like untouchability, economic inequality, very much visible in the past. Untouchability was a major vice there, where for which Gandhiji raised his voice. Right? So the untouchables were really ill-treated. They were denied of their rights. Even, I mean, like base essentials like getting water from the well, they were not allowed to, because if they have touched, that may ruin the place and that place would become, untidy and not considered as good for them, inauspicious in a way. So they were not allowed to draw water from the well. Right? Please continue further.
Gandhi decided to go first to Muzaffarpur, which was en route to Champaran, to obtain more complete information about conditions that Shukla was capable of imparting. He accordingly sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kripalani of the Arts College in Muzaffarpur, whom he had seen at Tagore's Shanti Niketan School. The train arrived at midnight, 15th April 1917. Kripalani was waiting at the station with a large body of students. Gandhi stayed there for 2 days in the home of Professor Malkani, a teacher in a government school. It was
now,
an extraordinary...
Please wait. Here the trouble was that Gandhiji had heard. He'd got everything what Shukla as a peasant wanted to tell him his brothers. But there were other legal implications in the matter. There were other things which, as a peasant, perhaps he was not aware of. As an illiterate person, he didn't know much about all those legal implications. So Gandhiji, before raising his voice, he wanted to have a clear picture about the incident. What kind of an agreement was signed? What was the trouble faced by the peasants? How he could, before that, he could prepare a strategy against the Britishers. He need to have the, you can say a peep in into the matter so that the facts and figures were available with him, then only he could raise his voice. So as Shukla was not able to provide Gandhiji with adequate information, therefore he decided to go to Muzaffarpur, which was on the way to Champaran, to obtain the complete information. He wanted to go to Muzaffarpur, and he sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kripalani. J.B. Kriplani was a teacher at Arts College in Muzaffarpur and a known person in India's struggle for independence. Right? He was a teacher at Arts College in Muzaffarpur. Gandhi had seen him at Tagore's Shantiniketan school. So Gandhi took a train to Muzaffarpur and arrived on 15th of April, midnight 1917 at Kriplani's house. Now, Kriplani was already waiting there with his students. So Gandhiji stayed there for 2 days at Professor Malkani's home, who was a teacher in a government school. So there is one more teacher we are introduced here, Professor Malkani, where Gandhiji stayed there. Okay? Chaliye, please continue further.
It was an extraordinary thing in those days, Gandhi commented, for a government professor to harbor a man like me. In smaller localities, the Indians were afraid to show sympathy for advocates of home rule.
It was an extraordinary thing in those days. That was something different which happened in those days. Just a second, please. There are a lot of please.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It was an extraordinary thing in those days, Gandhiji commented, for a government professor to harbor a man like. Now, that was something which never happened during those days. You know, a government employee taking care and keeping Gandhiji at his home, because Gandhiji was like one of the biggest enemy of the Britishers. See, as we discussed the other day, Gandhiji was a person who was absolutely non-violent. He didn't adopted any kind of violent measures to push the Britishers out of our country, but he was a very influential person. With his talks, with his silent protests, with his candle marches, with his words, he influenced masses. People simply and blindly followed him, and that had a big impact on the British rule. Right? It is easy to stab a person back if somebody is attacking you with a knife, but it's not easy to keep on striking a person with a hand or with a knife or with whatever if the person is not saying anything to you. How many times? Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 10 times, but then again the person is going to do the same thing without any kind of violent revert back. So that was the tough task, right? And Gandhiji, being a man of patience and a non-violent person, he adopted this strategy. So that was an extraordinary thing during those days, that a government servant was favoring Gandhiji, though he knew that he could be punished or taken a tough step could be taken against him by the British authorities. So the news of Gandhi's coming up, of the nature of his mission, spread quickly through Muzaffarpur. So throughout Muzaffarpur, people came to know.
The news of Gandhi's advent and of the nature of his mission spread quickly through Muzaffarpur and to Champaran. Sharecroppers from Champaran began arriving on foot and by conveyance to see their champion. Muzaffarpur lawyers called on Gandhi to brief him. They frequently represented peasants groups in court. They told him about their cases and reported the size of their fee.
Okay. Now Gandhiji, as I told you, that when he reached Muzaffarpur, his arrival was spread throughout Muzaffarpur and people visited him. Now, sharecroppers especially, they started to visit him. Muzaffarpur lawyers informed Gandhiji about the whole situation, as they represented various peasants in the court. Now, there were various peasants who were fighting for the sharecroppers. They explained to him about their cases and the fee that they charged them. Now, Gandhiji here simply stated that this is not a kind of a matter where the need of the advocates should be there. And he said that for these kind of matters, people should not go to the law courts. The simple reason is that poor farmers who do not have adequate means of survival, how do they expect them that they should, pay that high charges to the advocates? So that was the reason He said to the sharecroppers that we should stop going to the courts. Taking such cases to the court cases does little good. That was Gandhiji's belief. Please continue further.
Gandhi chided the lawyers for collecting big fee from the sharecroppers. He said, I have come to the conclusion that we should stop going to law courts. Taking such cases to the courts does little good. Where the peasants are so crushed and fear-stricken, law courts are useless. The real relief for them is to be free from fear. Most of the arable land is the Champaran district was divided into large estates owned by Englishmen and worked by Indian tenants. The chief commercial crop was indigo. The landlords compelled all tenants to plant 3/20 or 15% of their holdings with indigo and surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent. This was done by long-term contract.
Now, Gandhiji scolded the lawyers for charging such high fee from the poor shareholders. He decided that it was useless to go to the law courts for such kind of cases. Hitesh Chaudhary, Aryan Mansal, आप लोगों की मैं आज की attendance, I am not going to give it to you. Sorry. There are 2-3 children whom I have put in the waiting room just because their cameras were off. He wanted to set them free from fear. That was his first criteria. Most of the cultivable land in Champaran district was owned by Englishmen who had divided them into various estates. Now the peasants were the occupants of the lands. The peasants were given these lands. Englishmen forced the peasants to cultivate indigo on 15% of their land. The entire land to 15%, they were compelled to grow indigo on that and give the crop to the Britishers as a rent. All this was done through a long-term agreement. So there was a long-term agreement which was continuing, where it was clearly mentioned that the poor peasants upon who were working upon the Britishers' lands, they have to grow 50 indigo on the 15% of the land, and this share they have to hand it over to the. This share has to be handed over to the Britishers as a rent, right? And this was mentioned in the long-term agreement. Please continue.
Presently, the landlords learned that Germany had developed synthetic indigo. They thereupon obtained agreements from the sharecroppers to pay them compensation for being released from the 15% arrangement. The sharecropping arrangement was irksome to the peasants and many signed willingly. Those who resisted engaged lawyers. The landlords hired thugs. Meanwhile, the information about synthetic indigo reached the illiterate peasants who had signed and they wanted their money back.
The sharecropping arrangement was irksome to the peasants. The sharecropping cropping arrangement was irksome, means it was irritating, right? So those who resisted engaged lawyers, the landlords hired thugs. But the major happening in this passage, what it was, we can find it that the Britishers started taking indigo from Germany, right? While all this was going on, the landlords came to know about the chemical indigo being prepared in Germany. It was a blue color dye made with chemicals. So they started demanding money from the poor peasants in order to cancel their agreements, as they no longer required the indigo plantations. Now those indigo plantations which were grown by the peasants on the 15% of their land, right? Now it was of no use to the Britishers because they started getting indigo at a cheaper price, which was a blue color dye made with chemicals. Right, they started demanding money from the poor peasants in order to cancel their agreement, as they no longer required the indigo plantations. The sharecropping system was annoying. Sharecropping system was not good. So many of the peasants paid for the cancellation of the agreement. So many of them paid for the cancellation of the agreement, but as the news about synthetic indigo spread and reached the uneducated peasants, they started demanding their money back. So they wanted their money back, because obviously they were in loss by all, right? Okay, am I clear till this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Chaliye, let's continue further. At this point, Gandhiji arrived in Champaran.
At this point, Gandhi arrived in Champaran. He began by trying to get the facts. First, he visited the secretary of British Landlords Association. The secretary told him that they could give no information to an outsider. Gandhi answered that he was no outsider. Next, Gandhi called on the British official commissioner of the Tirhut division in which the Champaran district lay. The commissioner, Gandhi reports, proceeded to bully me and advised me forthwith to leave Tirhut.
Now, when Gandhiji arrived at Champaran, he decided to collect all the facts and information related to this incident. So he visited the secretary of the British Landlord Association. The secretary didn't answer him back because he could not give any information. And he simply stated that we do not appreciate the intervention of an outsider. So they believe that Gandhiji didn't belong to Champaran, so then how could he intervene, right? But Gandhiji said he is not an outsider. So after this, he went to the commissioner of the Tirhut division, Champaran district, and was under the Tirhut division. The commissioner not only threatened Gandhi, but also suggested him to leave Tirhut immediately. So Gandhiji, in a way, he was threatened by everybody. He was ordered to leave Tirhut immediately, right? See, again, the same thing is highlighted. The Britishers actually knew very well that Gandhiji is a very influential person, and he is going to talk in a manner, he's going to influence everybody, and all these people, they are going to put up protests and other silent measures of protesting that will be done, that the Britishers then finally they have to pay attention, they have to give heed to what they are saying. So in order to get rid of it, in order to just ignore him, he simply said that you are an outsider and we do not appreciate the intervention of an outsider, right? So basically, we find there that how things happened before, during that pre-independent India. Please continue.
Gandhi did not leave. Instead, he proceeded to Motihari, the capital of Champaran. Several lawyers accompanied him. At the railway station, a vast multitude greeted Gandhi. He went to a house and, using it as a headquarters, continued his investigations. A report came in that a peasant had been maltreated in a nearby village. Gandhi decided to go and see. The next morning, he started out on the back of an elephant. He had not proceeded far when the police superintendent's messenger overtook him and ordered him to return to town in his carriage. Gandhi complied. The messenger drove Gandhi home, where he served him with an official notice to quit Champaran immediately. Gandhi signed a receipt for the notice and wrote on it that he would disobey the order.
Now this is, just a second, please wait. Now this incident was very important. This was like, raising your voice against an authority and telling them, see, you want this way, I'm writing it down. I'm not going to do it. Gandhiji did not leave in Tirhut also when he was asked to leave. Instead, he proceeded to Motihari. So he changed his direction and he moved to Motihari, the capital city of the capital of Champaran. Now, several lawyers accompanied him there. Now, it was very much clear what is his purpose to visit to Champaran. People were aware that why this Mahatma is here. So people accompanied him. At the railway station itself, when he reached Motihari, a vast multitude greeted Gandhi. So there was a vast group of people who greeted him. He went to a house using it as headquarters and continued his investigations. And he started with the investigation job. A report came in that a peasant had been maltreated in a nearby village. Now there was a report that something has gone wrong with in the nearby village, right? So Gandhi decided to go and see. So Gandhi wanted to check what has gone wrong. So next morning, he started out on the back of an elephant. So he started going there on the back of an elephant. He had not gone far when the police superintendent's messenger stopped him and ordered him to return down to his carriage. Unko ye order diya gaya that you have to go back and you cannot go to further, you cannot go to this place, Motihari. You cannot go to check what's wrong with the peasant. Because obviously the Britishers were scared that they had ill-treated with one of the peasants, and now Mahatma Gandhi was going to check it out. So if the truth came out, then again this man is going to influence people, and there will be vast protests and everything, right? So they were trying to stop him. Gandhiji complied. The messenger drove Gandhi home, where he served him with an official notice to quit Champaran immediately. Now, because he was stopped there, the messenger, he came back. The messenger took Gandhiji back and gave him a notice that Gandhiji should quit Champaran immediately. Again, we find the fear of Britishers very much visible here, where they say that you have to leave Champaran immediately. Till the time you stay here, people will be influenced and you will be more into the protest, and you will, infuse